Hi everyone, I'm Joe and today I'm going to be doing a book review of the Kenstibec Trilogy by Jon Wallace. Now this comprises of Barricade, Steeple and finally Rig. Now these were published in 2014, 2015 and 2016 respectively. Now as far as the genre goes, this is a science fiction trilogy and it is specifically within the science fiction dystopian type theme. The setting for the books is a future dystopian Earth set after a post-apocalyptic war in which basically the Earth has been devastated. The ruins of cities and roads and all of the infrastructure are generally in ruins. There are some that are kept intact but not much, and basically it is a broken Earth type scenario. And the reason for this being all destroyed like this, and indeed the reason for the war, was because of two factions, and those are the reals, in other words the real humans themselves, and the officials or artificials, which are very much like humans. I mean, they are virtually humans, but they've been essentially constructed and they've got nanotechnology running throughout them, and they basically kind of think of sort of androids or other sort of machine-like humanoids basically, and in this they are almost entirely biological with some advancements basically, which means they're faster, stronger, they're able to think differently than us. They can process stuff better, and they're kind of a superior form of humanity as such, although obviously it's gotten to a stage where humans and the artificials no longer understood each other and a war happened basically, and now the Earth is ruined, and now humanity and indeed the officials as well, everybody lives separated in these various bunkers and outposts dotted all around the world, and we are very isolated from each other. And indeed in the first book, Barricade, that is where the main character, who is called Kenstibec, comes in, because he is a official. He started off life as a construction worker and is an architect essentially, and he's now reduced to merely a sort of driver basically, or in other words sort of taxi driver, just ferrying people from one place to another as and when he can get them, and that's basically his existence. And then one day he gets a new fare basically, and she wants to go to a particular location. He needs the help of a real, whom he does get, although not willingly, and the three of them make this journey, which is a road trip across this ruined landscape, and things happen basically. I don't want to say too much more, but it's quite interesting because all of them discover that they're not quite what they think they are, and the world isn't quite how they think it is, because everybody's tucked away inside their bunkers and outposts, and everybody thinks they know what's happening outside. When really, how can you know what's going on outside when you're sort of locked away your entire life? Nobody's willing to go out anymore because everybody's terrified of everything, frankly, that moves. It's a weird situation, but it does create a very interesting atmosphere, frankly. And the other two books are Steeple, which basically deals with Kenstibec after the events of the first book. He goes back to basically the origins of where he and indeed other officials were basically fought up, and which is in the middle of London, and things happen there basically. I don't want to say too much more because obviously this is the second book in the trilogy, but it's quite interesting, and Kenstibec learns that things are not as they seem in a very different way, obviously. And then the third book, Rig, is yet again different in a whole new way, because at this point Kenstibec himself is started to evolve as a person. He's not quite thinking in the traditional way that officials normally do, and the book is set on an oil rig as well, hence the name Rig, which is a peculiar setting, but it actually works extremely well. And frankly, I liked the setting of this oil rig because it was a bit unusual and a bit different, and it sort of livened things up a bit, I think, and made things stand out a little bit more. Now, as far as the ideas that are explored in this trilogy, they are relatively simple in basis, although obviously it goes into more depth, and that is simply what it means to be human. Is one life worth more than another? Obviously with visuals and reels. And basically, what is a life worth, whether it's human or whether it's visual? Is it worth dying for? Is it worth living for? And is life equal to other types of life, basically? It asks some quite interesting questions, and the way it's explored, I think, is done well. So, as far as the writing is concerned, it is clean and straightforward. There are no random asides, whether physically or mentally, by characters where they wander off on a tangent unrelated to the plot. That doesn't happen in these books. I mean, all 3 books, as you can tell, they're not giant books. They're only, well, depending on your edition, 300 to 400 pages, which is, relatively small for a science fiction book of this kind. I mean, you can have some monstrosities sometimes. Jon Wallace keeps to the point. He keeps the pacing up really well, and indeed that's what works well, and that's indeed what is noticeable throughout is the pacing. He really does keep it going at a very good level. There are slight slowdowns occasionally, but only when needed. He manages to do what he needs to do with the book, basically, and make it work. And basically, he really has done a good job with this trilogy overall, I think. The characters are good and well developed. Likewise, the world is again well developed and interesting, and obviously the characters and the world fit into each other extremely well. And overall, I really did enjoy this trilogy. The world is dark and foreboding, as you might expect from a science fiction dystopian series. This is a new world after a war, and it is still, however, a terrible world before or after. And that sense of darkness with moments of light, which are only few and far between, I think work well to sort of make this an interesting trilogy. And I really would recommend this if you are a science fiction fan wanting something a little bit different, or wanting a sort of dystopian that is done in a slightly different way. You've got some nice ideas, nice writing, and as I said, the pacing and overall writing style works extremely well. With that said, that is it for this review of the Kenstibec Trilogy by Jon Wallace. If you've read any of these 3 books, or you would like to, then please leave a comment and we can have a conversation. All my social media links, as well as links to anything else that are relevant, can be found in the description box below, as they always are. And with that said, that is it for this review. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you another day. Bye for now.